Apologies for the issue. So I believe you can see my screen now. So the topic for today's session is creating and designing your own OER. And the whole idea is to talk about how you can start from just a basic concept to creating the real high quality open educational resources that you've decided to work on. So today's journey, we'll be talking about three subtopics. We'll be talking about pedagogical design. This simply means like creating OER that is inclusive, accessible, and localized. And we'll be exploring the tools we can use in creating some of these open educational resources. And we'll finally round up with the best practices when you're creating your OER. Please, can you mute yourself upon entry? Thank you. So, and this is just like building on our previous exploration of OER, the 5 R's of OER, open licenses, and how to find resources for your OER. So today we'll just go further into the design of open educational resources in a way that it is inclusive, it is accessible, and it is localized. So basically, we'll be talking about sorry, I'm just having a technical issue here. So we'll be talking about how good OER isn't just free content, it is effective learning content that is designed to empower every learner. So the goal of OER is to ensure that it is effective, it empowers the learner. It's not just you creating something and believing it will work, but it is you creating something with the goal that it will empower every learner that comes across it, and it will empower them to understand, to apply, and to use these resources that you are creating for them, and that it helps them and it's not more confusing, because sometimes you take a textbook, you watch a video, or you even attend a class or a lecture and you don't understand what is going on, and you are more confused than you were before you join the class or you use that particular resource. So the goal of OER is to ensure that it is effective and that it impacts the learner, because that's the goal and objective of education. And when we are designing these open educational resources, there are 3 things we have to consider and we have to factor in. That is inclusion. Do we ensure that we have to ensure that these educational resources ensure that people see themselves in the content? That means there's this relatability. They feel like it includes their context, their own way of life, their culture, not in its entirety, but it's something they can relate to. And another thing is to ensure that it is accessible. So accessibility is very important. There are some minor things that we can do to make educational resources accessible to people who are living with disability. I mean, maybe they can't hear, they can't speak, or they can't see, or they struggle with some of these things. Our educational resources should ensure that as much as possible, all kinds of people, everyone is able to use and perceive this content. Then another one is localized design. This simply means ensuring that the content is relevant to the context of the learner. So these are like the 3 design principles that we use um, when creating open educational resources. So like I said in the previous slide, there are the 3 essential pillars. So the first pillar is inclusive content. So basically, these are content that reflect diverse perspectives by ensuring that learners feel seen and valued. So this could mean that instead of just using a location or a region or a tribe or an ethnic group in your entire open educational resources, especially that one that is not specific to that group, you should always ensure that you factor in diverse situations, diverse conditions. You don't have to use only Yoruba names. You don't have to use only Igbo names. You can use Hausa names. You can use Igbira names. You have to ensure that by design, you make people feel that they are being seen or that they are being carried along in your educational resource. And another thing is to challenge stereotypes in text and imagery. So stereotypes are opinions that are not necessarily true, but are believed to be true, and they are widely used. Maybe saying like an ethnic group does something a particular way, or people from Lagos are like this. So you should ensure that you do not carry um more stereotypes or ingrain stereotypes that are in the society in your work. So you have to ensure that you challenge stereotype in text and imagery. Another thing is to ensure that you employ gender neutral language. So as much as possible, you want to ensure that people don't feel like, oh, this book is just a book for boys or a book for girls or whatever. So as much as possible, you should always ensure that you use gender neutral languages, or you ensure that all genders are represented as much as possible. Then another one is accessible content. This one is very important and is one of the most overlooked pillars of OER design. So one thing you can always do, example, some people are colorblind, they can't see colors clearly. So you can always add alt text for images. What this means is that if you use Twitter or some of these online platforms, it's just a short description, not the caption, or on the image that says this image is an image of a slide explaining this and that. So as much as possible, you should always use alt text in your images. Then another thing you can do is to use clear fonts and use very high contrast, make it bold, make it clear. You shouldn't use these fonts that look like I don't know, that will make it difficult to read, because some people's sight is not as great and they will struggle more, and this will slow down their learning, their understanding. So always ensure you use clear legible font, high contrast. You don't need to mix so many colors together. You don't want to cause contrasting experience for people, because basically some people also they also deal with what do we call it? They deal with color blindness. They are confused when they see multiple colors. They can't relate with it. There might not be a lot of people, but these are some of the issues that people face. And then you should always use proper headings in your work. You should always use the right headings, sub-headings, to ensure that your work has a logical flow and that people can easily go through it and find what they want on time without necessarily going through every page or every part of the work if need be. So another one is to also ensure that the content is localized. So this simply means that you shall include relevant local examples. You can include relevant local festivals. You can use appropriate languages and idioms. You can say in this case they use this. And you should also align it with the local educational, or in this case, the national educational standard. So what's the national education policy like? So you didn't just copy a work from, let's say, Germany, translate it to English or Hausa or Yoruba or Edo or whatever. You shouldn't just translate it. You should also contextualize the work. If you shouldn't Your book should not be saying, oh, we have 4 seasons: winter, summer, fall, and autumn, or whatever, and spring. You should contextualize it, because there's no winter in Nigeria, there's no spring in Nigeria. We only have raining season and dry season. And maybe Harmattan, if you consider Harmattan to be a season. So those are the seasons we have. So you should always recontextualize your work so that people can understand. So those are like the three essential pillars of OER design. And I'll just stop here for a while to see if there are any questions, or if someone wants to ask anything. Is there any question from anyone on any of the three pillars for open educational resources design? Or we just carrying on in the meantime? Okay, I will assume you should carry on. Thank you, Bashirat. So I'll share my screen again. I will just go into the tools and the context in which you should use the tools when creating your OER. So no single tool does everything. So we have different tools for different purposes. We have tools that you can use for text and collaboration, which is always the starting point. No matter the kind of OER you are creating, you have a script, you have a plan, you have a goal, you have an objective. And then we have visual designs. This could be pictures, this could be slides, this could be imagery. And then finally, we have interactive content. This could be also be videos. This could be just be reflexive exercises. This could just be guidelines as well. So we'll just go through the tools you can use for OER creation, and they are just a guideline. They are not a limit to what you can use. They are more than these tools that you can use. You can do your own research and also find more tools that are relevant. So when we talk about text and collaboration, we have tools like Google Docs. So with Google Docs, you can create all sorts of resources. You can create all types of. You can use the slides. You can use the Excel. You can use the sheets. You can use the Word version of Google Docs just to create whatever you need to create. They even have a Google video tool now that they just released as well, where you can use it to create anything. You can create videos, you can create Word documents, you can create workbooks, you can create textbooks, you can create anything imaginable. And also same with Microsoft 365. So with Microsoft Word, you can do all of the basic and foundational OER creation. So and with LibreOffice is free. And Google Docs is also free, but Microsoft 365 is not exactly free. But you can find your way around it. So LibreOffice is free and open source, and it also respects your freedom. Is more, you can adjust it more, so you can choose any of this one for yourself. And these are best for creating course outlines, textbooks, articles, and collaborative writing projects. So we also have tools for visual design, and number one here is Canva. And Canva is one of the best tools out there. And even with the way they've added AI to the tool, it also even makes it more effective. You can create all types of design in Canva, all types of sizes. You can create workbooks. You can create anything imaginable. There are different templates, different infographics, worksheets. You can create things that are visually appealing. And with the free plan, it even offers a lot. It's just that you can't use some of their pro templates. But if you are good in designing, you can create your templates yourself. And the pro plan also, you can also pay for it if you if you want that. And it's also free for non-profit. So your school might be able to get it free. Please, can you stop writing on the screen? Thank you. So we also have Genially. You can use this to create interactive visuals, presentations, and even you can create educational games that engage learners. We didn't talk so much about games, but games are also another form of OER where you can stimulate learning. Please, can you stop ticking on the screen? If not, I will have to remove you from the meeting. Thank you. So we also have Inkscape, and it's also a free and powerful open source graphic editor which you can use to create custom illustration and diagrams. So finally, we have tools for interactive content. So these are where you create videos, you create quizzes, you create activities, you create rich content. This could be a timelines, accordions that you can embed on your website or your learning management system like Thinkific, Kajabi, Teachable. Those are some of the learning management systems you can use. So H5P, which is HTML5 package, is one of the best tools out there that you can use for this. So depending on what you want to create for your capstone project, if you are doing that, you can use this platform to start something. If you are trying to create videos to check understanding and to just maintain engagement, to make it short and straight to the point, this is your platform. And then if you want to create quizzes, activities, flashcards, you can use this platform as well to do it. So we just go through some of the best practices when creating your OER. And the most important one is is someone saying something? Please, can you mute yourself, Abdul Hakim? So in the meantime, we just carry on with the slides. So the best practices checklist. Sorry, I have to share my screen. So the best practices checklist. So these are the things you should also ensure that you are meeting to ensure that your OER comes out very good and with a very good quality. So the first one is formatting. Formatting basically means editing your documents or your video properly, that you use a consistent style guide. You use the same font style, the same font size across different parts of the document. The headings will definitely have different font sizes, and that you use your bullet point. It is clean and clear and coherent. So this is one of the very important things, because if you don't get this right, your educational resource will come out very poorly, and it won't be enjoyable. People will find it confusing. People will find it frustrating to use. So you have to ensure that your captions, your description, your page number, everything is correct and intact. And with Microsoft Word or any of the document editing tools out there, you should be able to create something great. So you also have to ensure that the layout is clean. You have to justify your document. You have to ensure that it's not just tilted to one side. So you have to ensure that it is okay, it is good. You have to look out for grammatical mistakes as well. You don't want to create an open educational resource that is riddled with errors, or that is filled with mistakes, that people will start to think maybe this is not a great resource. I can't trust this resource. Look at the mistakes, look at the spelling errors, look at the adjectives, look at the grammar of the work. So this is the time to ensure that everything is done properly. And it's also best to have someone to also proofread it for you, one or two people that have not seen the work consistently, so they can see it with a fresh eyes and just ensure that it is okay and good to go. So another one is attribution. So this is where you also choose the license you are using for your OER. So you have to ensure that you are using the correct license, and the license that you are happy with, not that you release it under a license and you see someone making lots of money over your work and then you are unhappy, you are threatening them or you are suing them. So it's just best to use a license you are comfortable and happy with, no matter how people use it. So it could be any of the CC licenses that we mentioned last week. And if you are not using an open license, then it's not really an open educational resource. So you need to state the license of your OER. You need to put everything in the cover page or in the second page of your documents, or in your video at the end in the credit part. Then any resources that you use in your work, image, sound, videos, pictures, data that you use, you should also always properly attribute them. And this is the point to also ensure that you are using the works you are using in your work, the resources you are using, the citations you are using. The license allows you to use them the right way. That is also very important. And then the best way to attribute a work is to use the TASL guide, which is the title of the book, the title of the video, the title of the song, the title of whatever resource it is, and putting a comma, putting the name of the author, the full name of the author, and putting a comma, then putting the source. Is it Wikimedia Commons? Is it a library? Is it an online resource? Is it an archive? Wherever you found it, you also need to source it. And then finally, the license. This also ensures that you understand that you've checked the license and that the license under which you are using the work is correct, and that there won't be a problem between you, the publisher, or the author in future. So, and another thing to check for is accessibility. So you want to ensure that your images have alt text, that all of them have alt text, especially in an online context. This might not work too much for a physical resource, but let's say in an online course, online context, a video on social media or YouTube, you want to have alt text that clearly explains and describe what the image or what the video or what the figure or whatever it is all about. So this is very important. It takes a lot of time to get this right, but it's one of the very important things to add to your work, and that increases the value, the ease of use of your work, the adaptability of your work. That means your work is accessible to almost everyone and that everyone can benefit it. And if you are creating a work, your objective is that you want your work to impact as much people as possible. So when you do this, you even extend the frontiers of the reach of your work. And then your color contrast. You need to ensure that it's not too sharp, it's not too confusing, it's not too contrasting. You don't want to use red and green and yellow and blue, and then your work is just very somehow. I mean, there are some context maybe for creative designs or a coloring book or something that this might be relevant, or maybe in a certain context, maybe there are some people who learn better with colors. So this is dependent on that. But if your work is just out there, you should make it as accessible to many people as you can. And when the color contrast is very okay and sufficient, you make your work easy. And it's one of the also the very thing you can put in your work. So when you add links for maybe people to read more, you shouldn't just be putting a link alone, www dot um unilearning.edu.ng/this/that. You should put the title of the page. You should ensure that it is descriptive, not just click there, click here. You should be very descriptive. People should have an idea of what the link is. And because there are so many things going on these days with links, your link should also be clear. You shouldn't use a bit.ly or a funny link that might lead to that people might not trust. So you want to use a clear link of what the website is, youtube.com, not a bit.ly / a short whatever. You want to use the correct link. You want people to trust that this link they are clicking, it won't get them in trouble. It won't lead them to getting hacked. So that's another thing to check for. And then transcripts and caption, are they available for your media? So some people cannot hear, they suffer with hearing. Their hearing is not so good. And when you create a video and you just talk all through, no matter how impactful it is, they cannot benefit from it. So this is also very related to with the alt text for images. So you need to put transcripts, you need to put captions, you need to put subtitles for your media, for your video. So if you create a work in English, you can add subtitles in as many languages as you can. You can add in as many languages as you can, such that as long as people can read, the work is not entirely irrelevant to them. That means they can still listen, they can still watch and use the subtitle to understand what you are saying. And these subtitles, this transcript, these captions, they should be very accurate, because you don't want people to miss out on what you are saying, and you don't want to put out the wrong context. You don't want to just say, maybe someone is talking for 5 minutes and you're only putting transcript or subtitles for 2 minutes. You want to ensure that from the beginning to the very end, every part of the video, every part of the media, every part of the song, every part of the resource you've created is subtitled, if in this context. So you have to ensure that it's subtitled and that they can follow along. They are not lost. They are not wondering what you are saying, and they are able to listen. And it's not just for people that don't even speak the language. Sometimes the way people assimilate what you are saying and the way you say it or your accents, they might not fully understand. So it's just best to have this so that people can also follow through with your work and not just rely on hearing or seeing, but also by what they see with your from your transcript and your caption. So this is the last slide, and it's just about an interactive part of today's session. So what is one small piece of OER that you can create or adapt? And which tool will you try? Or are you most excited to try first? So before I will come back to this, but next week we'll be having our final session where we'll be talking about licensing, publishing, and sharing your OER. So this is where you would, when you've created your OER and you've adopted all of these principles, the accessibility, the inclusion, and the localized design principles, the next thing for you to do is to license it, to publish it, and to share it. And your joy will be that other people use your work and attribute it to you. So that's one of the reasons we talk about the Creative Commons licenses. So we'll be exploring this next week, and it will be like our final session. We'll also be announcing the winners of the funding next week as well. So I'll stop sharing my screen and see if there are any questions. So in the meantime, what is one small piece of OER that you would create or adapt? And which tool are you most excited to try out of all the different tools we've mentioned today? Is there anybody who wants to respond?
Sorry, sir. Can I respond to the question?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So one of the tools that I would really explore that I've learned a lot about during this training is the Canva tool, because after the training, there was a training that we did that we talked about Canva, and I really went back to explore it, and it has, especially with the templates. And I started using it in creating my own OER, because I'm creating a book for an OER for early years. So
Wow.
yes, it has been giving me a lot of templates, and then there's this element section that there is no graphics that you're looking for that you would not find in that particular section. So I think Canva is one of the go-to. Another thing that I would explore that you said now is the Google Doc. I will try as much as possible to do that this week, so that I would get a hang of it.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
My name is Faith.
Oh, okay, that's great, Faith. And it's also very early years, early childhood education is
Yes.
it's and one of the underrepresented spaces in education. So that is really great. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So is there any other person who wants to say what they would like to explore about the tools or what project they're even working on? Okay, if there's none, that's fine. I'll just check the chat. So yeah, you can go ahead, Geoffrey.
Yes, there's something I wanted to ask. I've already seen images online that have alternating text. So I think I've seen you also. Now, which tools can we use basically? Because I've been trying to also add alternating text, but it has not been going on well with me.
What platforms are you were you using at the time you're trying to add the alternating text?
Hmm?
I said, what platforms were you using? Hello?
Hello, Isaac. I didn't hear you well.
I said, what platforms were you using to add the alternating text?
X.
Oh, it's straightforward on X. Just once you are posting a picture, there's this A capital letter and A small letter beside each other. You just have to click on it and you're able to add the alternating text. So you can try that out. So Abdul Hakim Sadiq, do you still have a question? You said I should pardon you, please. So if there are no questions, we can bring the class to a close. So Andy Khan Edrock says I will be working on documenting folklore in my local dialect, EDBO. Oh, that's amazing. This is what we want to see, diversity, not just resources in English alone, different types of resources. So that's amazing. And I'm sure that it will be well received when it's ready. So if there are no other questions, we'll be bringing the session to a close. Today is the last day to apply for the capstone funding. So if you're yet to put your application through and you're really interested, please do apply before the end of today, and we'll be deciding the selected participants next week. And for those who indicated that they were interested in collaboration, we would explore if that's a possibility on this particular funding, if there are people who are also interested and would love to work together. So thank you all for joining. We're finally wrapping up this training, and thank you all for showing up for the past 4 weeks now. And next week will be one of the last sessions, last training sessions for this particular program. Please do complete your assessment, your quizzes that have been going. That we've been sending it every week, so please do complete it if you are interested in being certified at the end of this program. Please do complete it, and we'll see you next week. Thank you all. We'll also send an email of the recording and all the resources that you can use to learn more on this particular topic for this week. Well, thank you all for joining and for your engagement and participation. We'll see you next week.